Great evening, everyone. How are you, Bejanae?
I'm doing great. Welcome back, everybody. So excited to have a double feature for tonight. We have so many amazing people that we want to put in front of you before the holidays. And so we're on fire tonight. We are on fire. I want to say welcome to everyone to the Power of Collaboration, where we are connecting educators and parents to great resources. And I have here my co host, Dr. Sheka Houston. She's busy pulling in the different feeds so we can get this message out everywhere and showcase these phenomenal people who are doing great things in the community. And I am the co-host, Bejanae Kareem, the grant guru. I'm also an equity advocate and an educator and author, and founder of BK International Education Consultancy, where our social impact mission is to increase student access to innovative education, and we help support schools through grant writing and STEAM education, coaching, training, self-paced courses, toolkits, you name it. And one of our most popular items in Amazon faves is our book, our grant writing starter guide on 12 quick steps to writing winning classroom grants. And it's available on Amazon and at Barnes and Noble. And so I'm excited tonight to be able to introduce these two phenomenal women, actually two phenomenal Black women authors, and to showcase what they are doing in the lives of others, for school communities, for educators, for families, and for children. And so I will be sprinkling in a few little grant writing tips throughout there. And I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. Sheka Houston, so she can introduce herself before we get into learning more about the authors and their journey to authorship, and also any tips that they have for aspiring authors.
Thank you, Bejanae. And I'm excited about our guests joining us. My business partner, our co-founder, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I, we love to connect educators and parents to great resources. As school leaders, we knew that that was something that was essential for us to be able to improve our schools. When we found ourselves in the crux of state sanctioned school improvement, we were able to improve our schools 2 and 3 report card grade levels in 1 year. And a great part of that was because we were able to find culturally relevant text and speakers that were able to motivate our students and really give them a different persona or confidence about themselves, to really make sure that they could realize who they were, to know that they could do what we had put forth for them to be able to do. We always said that, this is our rating, but this is not who we are. And when they started to believe that, by us making sure we were intentional about infusing our curriculum, it really did make a very big difference. So we wanted to continue that work. And so Create and Educate has partnered with BK International to continue to bring you all great authors, great speakers, because most of the people that we bring on not only help in schools, but also in other organizations. So we're going to bring up our first guest.
Yes, our first guest is Dr. Tashawn. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yes, Tashawn Creswell. And I want to give you a little bit snapshot about how great she is. She's an Army veteran. She's a registered nurse. She's a nurse educator and a brand new published author. So excited to know that she is from Wilson, North Carolina, and now resides in Grovetown, Georgia. So we have the Southern Crescent kind of represented here. We have South Carolina, where Dr. Sheka Houston and me in Georgia, and also Dr. Creswell in Georgia. Dr. Creswell also is married. She has 5 children and this Brady Bunch blended family. And so she's passionate about helping others achieve their goal, about serving the community. And so her new book, Just Tori, talks about a young girl who faces bullying, racism, colorism, and everyday struggles while growing up in an underserved community with a single mom and her siblings. So honored to have you on our show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us a
Welcome.
little bit about like your inspiration for for Just Tori.
Okay. Well, Just Tori, I've had that name Tori in the back of my head for years. I knew that was going to be if I wrote a book, that was going to be my character. I was a little afraid of writing a book at first because it's a big task. You sit down, you write about 3 pages, and you say, "Okay, I'm done. My story's told, but this is not a book." So I had to kind of get myself into the mode of writing it and get motivated. A lot of my family and friends encouraged me. I knew I wanted to write this book because I had a story to tell. I knew some of the things that I faced, even though this was back in the mid 1980s, it's still happening today. So I wanted to get that story out. My inspiration was just, I saw what I faced when I was younger, and I still see that it's going on. And I feel like now it's a little more heightened because we have social media, we have reality shows. So it's giving an impression that's not real, even though it's reality. It's very scripted. The TV is telling you what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to wear, what your facial features are supposed to be like. And it's really damaging children. And we're seeing it with a lot of the suicide and depression rates and anxiety going up. So I wanted to tell this story about how I felt when I was younger, so I can let other young girls know you're not the only one that feels like this. I feel like I went through a lot of adversity just because of the color of my skin, features on my face. When I walk into a room, the first thing they don't look at, first thing people look at is your skin color. They look at your facial features. What type of clothes do you have? Where do you live? So I felt like this was still relevant today. We still have a lot of children living in underserved communities. We have a lot of children living in single parent households, or even in households where grandparents are raising them. So I felt like I wanted to tell my story, so that way it'll give some kind of positive outlet. It's not where you're from, it's where you're at, it's how you get there. So I had a rocky start, had a rocky road, but I made that into something, and I used that as my motivation. And that's how Just Tori came out of that. So I had to really sit down, make myself an outline, and say, fill in the pieces and write this book and inspire somebody. So that was kind of the motivating factor behind it. I wanted to tell my story because I knew there were people that were still feeling the same way that I did as a young girl.
Wow. And it's so many messages that you mentioned that need to be talked about with students. And a lot of times there's not an easy way, sometimes for educators or even for parents, to broach such serious subjects. So for you to have put that in a book, in a story format, that really makes it easy to talk through, or to make that an easy conversation to be able to have by talking about it through the story with your students or with your children. So I'm glad that this is something that you have decided to do and bring forward and make sure that the word is getting out about it.
Exactly. I never went to my mom to tell her how I was feeling about my skin color, about, my clothes, about anybody picking at me. It was mainly my sisters, who I would confide in. And I feel like it opens up the conversation. I just hope that parents read this book as well and start a conversation with your child. Figure out if your child is going to school every day and someone's bullying them, someone's picking at them. Do they feel uncomfortable in their skin? I was never asked those questions as a child, not even by a school teacher, not even by my mom, anybody. It was just thoughts that I had that I kept to myself. And that really plays on your self-esteem and, your confidence. Yeah. And so I had to create my own confidence.
That's so true. And I remember as an administrator, in talking with young people in my office, one of the questions I would ask them, because I would notice that a lot of them would drop their heads, or, I knew they didn't have high self-esteem. So that was one question I would ask. I would tell them how beautiful they were, or, if they were young men, you're a nice looking young man, what do you think of yourself? What do you see? And most of them would say, when I say, well, do you think you're pretty? If it was a young lady, no, ma'am. Has anybody told you you're pretty? No, ma'am. And I was just dumbfounded by that. So you're right. Sometimes that's not happening, and the self-esteem of the child is not being built. And that has to happen at every level. The child has to know how to personally feel empowered, but that should be coming from other people as well.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you have that message in your book.
Exactly. And so when you don't get that, you go to other avenues, and sometimes they're dangerous avenues that can affect you for the rest of your life, and that's what you want to prevent. And I thank God that didn't happen to me, because there were some times where we did some things that wasn't that great, some things that probably today in 2022 would have you in trouble. So you want to reach out to the children young and help them feel positive about themselves. I tell everybody, this is before the Black girls rock in the melanin movements and love the skin that you're in. We had none of that. Yeah. None of that. I never would have known, being an 8-year-old girl, that my skin would be beautiful today. So we didn't have that. So it's wonderful.
And I love the fact, a couple of things. One, that you used your own personal knowledge and leverage that in a space for you to write from. Because usually I think when authors do that, it can be easier for you as a starting place. Like if you know you have something that maybe you want to say or put into words, or if, like you said, your support system is like, yeah, you should write that. And it's like, well, where do I even start? Starting from your personal experience or something that you're knowledgeable about is a great first starting place to get like your first book out there, because one, it's your story, and two, it's easy for others to be able to connect with, right? It's so easy for other people to be connected with. The other thing is, that's also, I would say, timely. There's so many points in Just Tori that you mentioned. Great. It'll be great for schools, for young girls, for young girls who look like us, for young girls who don't look like us, because I believe that they can relate. And that there are a lot of grant opportunities out there, specifically focused around, like you said, social and emotional learning, being able to understand yourself and identity, and just in general, just even literacy, culturally relevant literacy is what you're offering to school communities. So love to see Just Tori in classrooms and libraries, across the US.
And one of my main goals when I first started, I really wanted to reach out to Boys and Girls Club. I felt like Just Tori, Tori, the main character, she really relates to those children, because I wish that was an outlet when I was younger, that someone would have linked me up with that. I actually let my son go because I felt like it's a good teaching moment, some teaching lessons. I went and spoke with the kids there, and this is the CSRA Boys and Girls Club that's here in Augusta. They actually had each child read a chapter. And so when I went to speak to them, they knew about every chapter, and it made me feel so good, because these were 3rd graders through 5th graders. And they knew all about Tori. They knew about her sisters, her mom, her stories, and they were just quoting it. And I was just like, it made me feel so good because they got it. And then they started talking about some things that was happening to them in school.
Yeah.
Wow.
So being able to relate. Awesome. Exactly. Right. So I love the fact that you're able to validate their experience, right? Because sounds like from what you're saying, you were looking for that too, even though you didn't feel comfortable maybe communicating or didn't think to communicate it. So it was a great validating experience. Dr. Sheka, you're about to say something?
I was just going to say, it's so important for parents and educators really to not even just wait for children to come forth with things, because a lot of times they won't be forthcoming, but we have to ask the right questions. Yeah. So I'm glad that you have written this book as a way to help people start those conversations and try to recognize things in children. My heart really has just been heavy all week with that young lady, Shanquella Robinson, and what happened to her. And to be, because she was an adult, she was 25 years old, a young woman, but she must have had something in her that was a void, or something where, I don't know if conversations have been had about, and we have to talk more with our children about how to recognize who are really your friends, how to select your friends, and what warning signs to look for when things are happening. People are doing certain things that this is not friendship behavior. This person really isn't a true friend. So I just encourage parents and families to really have those conversations, because a lot of what we see when children come from elementary school to middle school, in elementary school, the biggest influence on a child are their parents, adults. But when they get to middle school, that
The
changes to
ears.
their peer group. And
Mhm.
so whomever they're associated with or affiliate or surrounding themselves with, that becomes their influence. So you have to really be conscious about who your children are around, what they're reading, what they're doing, what they're watching, when they're at somebody's house, who is there. You know, there's just so many things. But I just want to make sure that we're asking the right questions. So I'm glad books like yours exist,
Yes.
because sometimes those conversations aren't comfortable for parents and adults. And then this is an easy way to do it through a story format.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Totally
Agreed.
agree.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for your time tonight and being authentic and vulnerable and honest and putting your story out there for others to be able to connect with, to learn from, and also just to find support, I think, as well.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it. Glad to put it out there.
Thank you. And make sure, if you hadn't put in the private chat already how to get your book, put the link in there so we can put it in the comments.
I did. I put my
Okay,
website in there. I sure did. You can go on my website and
perfect.
it'll give you all the links or your ways to purchase Just Tori.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Wow, that was
right.
amazing. I felt that. I felt that to my core. Like, oh my goodness.
Yes,
I'm gonna have to get a copy of that.
I can't wait to get it. All right, let's bring up our next guest, Dr. Roz. How are you, Dr. Roz? Uh-oh, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Can we hear you? So while Dr. Roz is getting her sound together, I want to introduce her so you all know
Okay.
who is Dr. Roz and why
All
we
right.
have her on the show and what makes Dr. Roz so great. So
All right.
I'm gonna read her bio just to give you a little sneak peek into Dr. Roz. So Dr. Rosalind Gatson, she actually began her career as an elementary school teacher, similar to myself,
Mhm.
in a large urban school district in the DC, Maryland, Virginia, or what they call the DMV area. And early on, she knew that she wanted to devote her career to improving teaching and learning within urban schools. So during her years leading in the school system, she served as an instructional coach, an instructional lead teacher, and even a grade level administrator. And as an instructional leader, she led teacher teams to utilize data to increase student achievement within Title I as well as turnaround schools. Dr. Roz earned her BS degree, her Bachelor's of Science in Elementary Education from Morgan State University, and a master's degree in Curriculum and Instruction from McDaniel College. And her doctoral research focused on the role of instructional coaches within professional learning communities, or what us educators call PLCs. So Dr. Gaskin continues to collaborate with teachers and school leaders as the CEO and founder of the Village Leadership Group. You all have to check it out. And she's committed to utilizing her skills and knowledge of instructional leadership, PLCs, and data inquiry to transform the learning culture of schools. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Dr. Roslyn, can you hear us? Okay. Okay, we still can't hear you.
No, not yet.
Not yet, not yet.
Oh. Well, we're gonna let her work on it some more, but you're right. Dr. Roz is on fire, like Josh stated. I'm a part of the village and have been on with her and Coach Williams, and they are doing some dynamic work. We are so excited about her book that I can't wait to get. It's in my cart on Amazon. I have two other books I got to order too, along with that, but definitely going to get her book that has just come out. And a lot of people in education, we do lots of work on professional learning communities. So her book is, and Coach Williams is setting your team on fire. And sometimes there's resistance that comes along with that work. So
right.
getting your team set on fire about the work is essential. So Josh has put in, he's one of our people in our PLN, a part of the Fantastic Four, put up that she is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern in the Village. All right, let's see if we got it. Can we hear you now?
No.
Still can't hear. I don't know what's going on with the sound.
She's in switch devices and everything.
Yeah.
So while we're trying to get the audio together, I think she left us at least with some links to access the Village Facebook group. If you're not a part of it, you need to get a part of it. She and I are part of the group.
We are.
So
and
join. Go ahead.
She's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Her and Coach Williams, and they give lots of great information for leaders and teachers and educators. Just great stuff, great advice, great tips. And I'm going to put all of the links from our guest in the comments.
Oh, that'll be perfect. So they know how to
purchase,
how to access, just Tori, how to access the PLC book. And I tell you, I can't wait to be able to use the Set Your Team on Fire, helping to support PLCs. Another hat that I wear, in addition to being the grant guru, is helping to support turnaround schools, as they call it, so to speak. And so one of the surefire ways is providing support for teachers, and teachers providing peer support for each other in those PLCs, and being able to use data, student data, information to be able to identify, okay, where are our students' strengths? What are their needs? And then what instructional practices do we need to put in place to address those needs? And so there is a lot of good wealth in her book, and I can't wait for her to be able to talk to you all about that, especially with all her years of experience as a school leader. It's similar to you, Dr. Sheka. It's not an easy thing to help manage so many, right? You're managing teachers, you're managing staff, you're managing children, you're helping to support families, and then there's a lot of hats that you wear as a school leader.
That's true. There are a lot of legs to leadership, and let's see if she's back now.
It's not working. Yeah, it's working.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Yes.
Oh, stop playing.
Yes, it works.
That was the Lord. That was the Lord. Okay.
Divine intervention.
Yes. I was like, I'm trying every mic that I own. I'm like, what is going on? Okay, great. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Dr. Ross.
Y'all were holding it down. I was here. I could hear you guys perfectly. I'm like, why can't they hear me? Okay.
That's okay. We already had a chance to introduce you, to let people know how great you are and what you're bringing to the table. We definitely want to know about your book, specifically on helping to create high-yield professional learning communities. Do you have a copy of your book? Can you talk to us about your inspiration for writing the book? There you go. Bam. That's what it looks like.
There it is.
Yes. So listen, long story short, years and years and years and years and years ago, I wrote my dissertation all about professional learning communities and what it took to build collaborative school cultures. And I was so passionate about being an instructional coach and working with teachers and really facilitating that work of building a PLC. So I chose that as my topic for my dissertation. And fast forward, that dissertation sat on the shelf and I didn't do anything with it. And my husband kept pushing me. He was like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because I was going to start my own business years ago, my own consulting business, but I never did. And it was called The Village. And fast forward 20 years later, after becoming Dr. Gaskins and Dr. Roz, I said, you know what, here is my time. So 2020, I'm going to start my company, the Village Leadership Group LLC. And then once I did that, I said, okay, well, I need to do something with my dissertation about this topic that is burning inside of me. Got to talk about the theme fire. Okay, but as a teacher, when I first started, it was all about, trying to figure out how to do this thing, and I was struggled, and I did not have a coach. I didn't have other mentor teachers helping me initially, and then I found my village. I found teachers, veteran teachers that, took me under their wing. And because of that, I say, you know what? I'm going to pay it back. I'm going to be that person for other teachers. And my teacher leadership journey started, and I became a mentor, I did professional development, training, coaching, anything you can think of. I did it when it came to teacher leadership. Um, and then I became a leadership coach as well. And I was like, wait a minute. And I'm working with not just department chairs and so-called teacher leaders. I'm working with all teachers and helping to build their capacity as leaders. And so that's what this book is all about, setting your team on fire, and the three elements of a PLC, making sure that we're building those collaborative school cultures where teachers are on fire to do the work.
Right. Because it takes a village, right, to help
It
support
does.
kids, right?
Yes, definitely. Again, if everyone's coming together, I know Create and Educate and Dr. Tammy Taylor and Dr. Sheka Houston, they talk about those toxic school cultures a lot and what it takes to really, when you're trying to improve a school, you got to have everyone involved, the parents, the teachers, the administrators, everyone involved. So it definitely takes a village. When you're talking about improving a school and coming together as teachers and educators, you have to focus on two things: teacher practice and student achievement. And too often we give teachers mandates, we tell teachers do this, do that, da, 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 but they're not on fire. They're just checking a box. They're just
Right.
going through the motions. And the school is dead. The school doesn't have any passion, any fire. And so that's one of the things, Principal Confele, he always starts his podcast with always saying, I'm on fire.
On fire. That's right.
And I can definitely, we see the fact that across the nation, teachers are leaving the profession. Not just teachers, administrators are leaving. And that passion, they love the students, they love education, but it's just so much. So, we need to change the narrative, get back excited about the work. Yes, it's difficult, but it's so rewarding. So we gotta light that flame and that fire and get back excited about the work.
We just need a bundle package with you to help support the teachers. Then we have Dr. Fanike Kiara to come in with the wellness piece and the burnout. And then we have Mr. Simpkins coming in, talking to the boys and getting them together for a college and career. And then we have Dr. Creswell to come back, and she can help support the girls and their identity and their self-esteem and their I mean, so I think we just need a bundle package. We just need a bundle package. We can support.
Let's do it.
And ship the schools, okay? Just ship the schools.
Everything you need right here with our connections, connecting educators and parents to great resources. And we were talking earlier about so many schools doing the work of PLCs, and you're right, a lot of people are not on fire about it. So your book is something that definitely is needed, something that could invoke that fire and the collaboration that's needed, and just connect people to why the work is important.
And I know that there's
wait to get my copy.
Yeah, I know. I already got mine's is on the way.
Thank you. And we are the bestseller. By the way, we just got word that we hit the mark. We made bestseller.
Excellent. And
Congratulations.
your book would even be great for I know some schools, POCs, or even leadership, they'll do book studies. I think your book would
Definitely.
be great for a book study for districts. And there's funding out there to support professional learning for school leaders as well as for teachers as well. Like you
Definitely.
said, it long were the days where it's just top down mandates. We really need to empower our educators, have them take ownership, also build consensus,
Mhm.
Definitely.
and in the overall movement of the school, which the overall goal is student achievement, right? And like you said, the
Definitely.
only way to get to that is through educator. Well, not the only way, but one way to get to it is through educator instructional practice. So,
Right, right. And it's one of the things, I was in an admin meeting this week, and we were sitting there and we were like, what are we going to do? Like, the culture right now is not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of
meh, meh.
yeah. And and it's what can we do to kind of uplift the teachers and the students and get everyone excited. And we really have to get back to our why,
Mhm.
and really get excited again, because we all can remember when we were new teachers. And I remember my first year, I did not take not one day off, because I was
Mhm.
just
Mm,
so excited and so committed about being a teacher. And if we can
Mhm.
get back to that and keep that in the forefront of our
Mhm.
teachers and our school teams, then that would get everyone excited. And then getting everyone excited and on fire for the school mission. And it can't
mm,
just be fluff words, right?
yeah.
It has to
Right.
be something that we can all connect to. So
Mm,
that when the days are tough and hard, we're still excited, we're still on fire
Mhm.
to do the work,
mm,
and getting the community involved, and not just the teachers and administrators, but the parents excited about it as well. I know Josh
mm.
Tovar, he does that a lot as far as branding the school and getting everyone excited about the
He
work that they're
does.
doing at their school. So again, you want to be on fire. We have to change the narrative that
Yeah.
this profession is at the bottom of the totem pole. No, let's get on fire. Let's be excited about the work. Yes, it can be challenging, but it's so rewarding. And especially when you're working in a school environment where people are working together and they're
Yeah.
committed, and driven to work towards a goal. So,
And we just had a big election, so a lot of new people may be in
hmm
office. The other thing that we need to do with education is put it back in the hands of educators. Just because we went to a school doesn't mean that we have the pedagogy background or the knowledge to know what exactly needs to be happening with curriculum and instruction. So
Mhm.
we are the only profession where everyone else thinks they knows what needs to happen as far as the legislature is concerned with education without consulting educators. So
Mhm.
right.
make sure that we're putting this back into the hands of educators, because that's why we are losing people, because there are so many different mandates that people don't believe in. And if we don't start listening to the educators, it's going to deteriorate the system
hmm
even more.
Mhm.
So we need to get your book into the hands of some legislature
That's
people.
right. That's
Tell
right.
them about the grants, Bejanae, to go on and give them to them.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, there are tons. I mean, because you hit on a variety of topics and I think the main thing with educators now, not educators, but legislators, part of it is about economic, development for their particular state, right? Or for their city or their local community. And the teacher shortage is a thing and it's
Mhm.
impacting that. And so being able to have your resource set your team on fire, those principles to PLCs, those three elements, I think it is essential for them to understand, because many legislators don't have an education background, right?
Right.
And so,
Right.
who better to hear from an actual educator, from a classroom teacher to a school leader, to give them insight on what is needed, to create change in their local community and area. So, yeah, I think Dr. Shika, you're on to something there with that.
And Dr. Raj, a lot of times we use books from industry in education. So, same thing with books for education. They can be used in the business
Definitely.
industry because there's not just a teacher shortage, there is an employee shortage
Right.
nationwide because
Right.
people are leaving several industries to do things like work at home,
Mhm.
or they're doing things that they, really desire to do. So lots of places have shortages. Lots of people need to be on fire. So they need to get Dr. Ross's book.
Definitely.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
it's funny that you mentioned that because I have had a few people talk to me who work for the government, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, we need this for our teams, for our our team at work, to kind of make sure that we're on fire. So I've heard that. So
Exactly.
definitely.
Yeah. So there's
Definitely
always,
markets, both markets.
that's right. Yeah. And there's funding and grants out there to help support that. Because you have workforce development in a way, you have, you're touching on teacher professional development. There's a couple different angles. That you could probably find funding for to help support
Yes.
those different avenues, like you said, to be able to cover the cost of those books, shipping and handling,
All that. Yeah.
without it being an expense or a burden on you all's pocket. So
Well,
yeah.
I have this awesome book that's going to help me, write some winning
Do you?
grants.
Do you? What is it called?
Just 12 easy steps. That's
It's
it.
12. It's 12. I love that. I love that. We so appreciate your time. Thank you for being diligent and working through all the audio issues to be able to talk to
Listen,
us tonight. We appreciate that.
I
Yes.
appreciate for you guys for being awesome and kept it going. And it's so funny because I was on I had a parent. We had a parent open house earlier, and I was on there using another mic. So something happened. Who knows? But we worked it out. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you all for
night.
joining us.
And stay on fire.
Yes.
Yes.